guys, good mornings. Today we will be learning about like basics of Scala. So let me tell you before we start getting into Scala, I would like to install Intellij software. As we see, I already installed it, so it looks something like this. You just need to type Intellij over here and go to download page. So there are two versions of it. One is Ultimate, like it might have other features, but there is another community edition which comes for free. My suggestion would be don't go for trial version because it will get expired within 30 days. And for Scala, I think we are good enough with community edition. So please download community edition. So based on if it is Windows, you can just go ahead and install windows.exe. And if you are accessing this website from either Apple or Linux, then it would actually prompt you. I mean, in case of Linux, it will give you the tar file, and in case of um, Mac, it would give you the Mac packaging file. So you just need to go ahead and install that. Once you install, you will see something like this. Make sure when you are like filling up the settings, so there is one step where you have to install Scala. So make sure you enable that plugin, right? So that way you would be able to get this particular thing. So now let's start with creating a new project. So new project. With a new project, you just need to so it would prompt for all these things. You have to pick Scala and SBT. As you see, SBT is like the Scala build tool. It is equivalent to Maven if you guys are aware of the Java programming stuff. But yeah, so even if you are not, then that is still fine. SBT is like the one, it's the name itself says it's Scala build tool. It is to manage and build or compile the packages and do the processing of it. So that's what it is. We can go deeper into SBT things later, but for the time being, let's focus on the Scala part. Okay, so just click on Scala, SBT, and next. So it automatically creates you, it fetches you the basic SBT versions, whatever is available in your machine, or else it will download an existing set. Okay, so for our tutorial, you could go for any of these versions like in Scala. But yeah, make sure, so before you get into it, make sure you have JDK installed. Yeah, so let me start with sample learning. And even while installing, if you don't have JDK, then it will automatically prompt you to download it or not. So make sure you have Java 1.8, as Java 1.9 is not fully people being used. So 1.8 is like the one which generally people are using. So my suggestion would be just go with 1.8. Okay, and even in Scala, so don't go to 12. Instead, go to like 11.12. So that would be relatively stable, and people start using it. So just go for a safe bet. Okay, so just finish it off. Since today we are focusing only on Scala, you don't need to create additional dependencies. But yeah, I'll just give a brief on how other dependencies work. So whenever the project gets started, you could actually see that there is something refreshing over here. So what actually happening is like this SBT project. Now that we created an SBT project, so if you see, there are no folders that got created. So these folders are like they come automatically. Like this is what this SBT template is actually doing. So this template is kind of downloading all the packages that are needed for you to jumpstart your application. Okay, so unless the plugins comes in, so for example, if you right click now, like before loading the content, so I'm just trying to do right click, but it's not showing anything, right? So you're not actually getting the Scala related classes and stuff. So just wait for something, let it get updated, and make sure it get all the indexes correct. Once the indexes are done, then you would be able to see things like, for example, see it's trying to resolve. Now, if you want to know like how exactly it is resolving the contents and how exactly these external libraries are getting popped up, you can just go to this build.spt file. Yeah, by the way, guys, like whenever you click on build.spt for the first time, it will actually it tell you whether you want to do auto project or stuff. So my recommendation would be click on auto project, auto update and stuff, so that it would automatically refresh whenever you add a dependency. Okay, so we'll go ahead, we'll just add a dependency, simple dependency to show you that these dependencies does work. So we can take a simple Spark one. So in order to see what are the dependencies and all, so you can just go to, there is a place called Maven, search for Maven. So you will have like, no, don't go for this. All you need to do is you need to go to that Maven page, right? So Maven, you could put like Spark something. So it would actually take you to Maven repository. So this is what where so this Maven repository is more about like, this is where people can publish their libraries or the jar files over here, right? So once they publish these jar files over here, you should be able to consume it. For example, in order to get the Spark one, you just need to go to Scala Spark project. You just click here. So there are several versions available, and it would even tell you like what is the Scala version for which this particular version of Spark would work. So here in this case, like 2.3.1 is the latest, so let's go with it, and Scala 2.11. So let's click on over here. So then it will tell you like what is the SBT. So just in case if you are defaulted to Maven, you make sure you go back to SBT. So just copy this file and come back here. Make sure, so just right click and just paste. Okay, so once you paste it, make sure you just click survey, and as I said, click on enable auto import. So whenever you make any changes on build.spt, so it will prompt you whether you want to click on auto import or not. So if you click it once, it automatically get you the things for you, so you don't need to do it again and again. Now coming back to this, currently if you see, the dependencies are like Java and SPT and this library 2.11.2, right? So see, this is a library that you are actually getting, and additional SBT plugins in order to make sure your build and everything gets successful. Now when you see it, like the very moment you added this Spark core dependencies, it is trying to resolve something. Basically what it is doing is, like in Maven, so you have these files, right? Like you are specifying that include this arg.apache spark 2 core 2.3.1 package into your application. So that's exactly what it is doing. It is trying to download that from, if you look at like repo.maven.1. So basically it is trying to download these dependencies from Maven. Guys, I mean, if you know more about it, like whenever you use Maven dependencies, you once if you already downloaded it once, it would stay in your project. So it is not necessary that it should be available. You need to connect to net every time, right? So unless you wanna recompile, or unless you wanna clean and rebuild the project, your jar files would still remain the same. Okay, so make sure you never clean the project unless you wanna get new files or new packages, especially when you are working on a multi-package project. So that is when you might need to clean, because somebody else might have updated a particular system, so you need to make sure you get the latest jars. So that is when you go for SBT clean. So don't worry about it, I'll just explain about SBT clean later in other things. So let's save this particular video. It's about like how to create our SBT project, right? And once the SBT project got created, Scala project, and once the Scala project got created with SBT, how to load dependencies just in case if we need more, right? So this video recording, whatever I'm using, it could hold only up to like 10 minutes. So I'm kind of stopping it over here, and once it is done, then we can go with other projects. Okay, thanks.